Welcome, friends. It's great to have you today for this episode of the Amazing Entrepreneurs Club podcast. I'm excited to welcome my guest today, Jason Hill. Let me tell you a little bit about Jason. Jason is the founder and president of Client Focused Advisors, a financial advisor. He specializes in working with many local businesses in New York and in Boca Raton, Florida. Additionally, he is the host of the nationally syndicated podcast, the Boca Raton Shrimp Tank, which is pretty cool. And this is in collaboration with FAU Adams Center for Entrepreneurship. Jason has been featured in multiple publications, including the Wall Street Journal twice, Forbes, Time Trade twice, Voyage MIA, and Investopedia. And additionally, Jason is the founder and creator of the Owwll App, which we will talk a little bit about today. So welcome, Jason. It's great to have you.
Sid, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on the other end of a microphone. Earlier today, I did a show. I'm always doing shows every single week, and it's nice to be on the other end of a mic, of course, for a change.
I bet it is, to not have to be the one coming up with the questions, just the person answering the questions. So Jason, tell us a little bit about you and what you do. So give us a little bit of history, or if you will, or your story a little bit.
Okay, I'll try to keep it brief, because I think I could go on for about an hour on this specific topic. So I started my career in New York. I worked in Manhattan on 42nd Lexington, running a financial service business. Like many financial advisors, you have to figure out how to get clients yourself and market yourself, pick up the phones, make meetings, and really get people to like you, trust you, because you're managing their money, of course. And that's a big responsibility, especially when you're in your 20s. So started right out of college and have been in that industry ever since. I then grew the team to 5 financial advisors, went in New York for 10 years, and then left New York about 4 or 5 years ago and started an office in Boca Raton, Florida. So now we have another financial advisor that started from the ground up locally here, some staff as well. And we've really grown the firm over 15 years now to 6 advisors and some staff. And we created the Shrimp Tank when I moved down to South Florida. It is a franchise that's in 10 cities currently. And what's really unique about our show is it's in person with headsets and microphones, and we collaborate with the FAU Adams Center for Entrepreneurship. So all these amazing local entrepreneurs from South Florida come into our studio with headsets and microphones, and we get to, share their journey with the world, similar to what we're doing today. Yeah, of course, where absolutely. I get to share my journey with the world for a change, because I'm usually doing the interviewing. And it's really been a fun ride. And of course, that is what led to Owwll App, where now we've created a mobile application where folks can get advice at a moment's notice. Right now, everyone is getting frustrated with Googling stuff, YouTubing stuff. And at the end of the day, sometimes we'd rather just jump on a phone call and speak to the other person and ask them something, that they can figure out in a couple minutes. And eventually, maybe we'll even hire that person. Or if they're looking for a podcast expert that helps monetize their podcast, it's really hard. You ask your friends, family, and eventually, it'd be easier just to be able to search in a mobile application, filter it down, talk to 5, 6 experts, and then select the one that you want and then hire them, go on Zoom or in person. So Owwll App is going to be great for experts and advice seekers. That's our goal.
We're going to talk about Owwll a little bit more in a couple of minutes, but I want to go back to something that you said about financial services. What made you want to choose that career? I mean, what made you choose that path?
That's a great question, because my father was an entrepreneur himself. He owned a store in New York City called Captain Hooks. So from a little kid, 5 years old, I just had entrepreneurship in my blood, right? I would, go into my father's store, sell stuff behind the counters. And unfortunately, his store shut down in 2000. He was forced out, like many in the South Street Seaport, where all the mall stores came in with higher rents, and I had to figure it out. So my brother and sister were both in the financial service industry. They really recruited me in, and I looked at that industry as a great way to get my foot into entrepreneurship, because you get to own the clients, that you're marketing to, and eventually you could scale a firm and have, your brand on the door. And I looked at other industries, and I just felt like that was, something I was always good with. I was always good talking one-on-one with people. I was always good at numbers, the math side of things. I have a lot of common sense when it comes to, looking at someone's situation and figuring out what they should do financially. So that's what really led me to the financial service industry. And it's been a fun 15-year ride of growing a practice. And our firm has won numerous awards over the years from serving our clients with great technology. Because at the end of the day, so a lot of financial advisors have been in this business 30, 40 years. But what a lot of them don't offer is the technology that we provide, because they don't adapt to the new structure. And most advisors have clients, so they don't feel they have to adapt. So the
Sure.
way we went over clients is just, being the cool kids on the block to be able to show them different technologies that will help them, manage their finances at the end of the day.
So it's a really great point about advancements in technologies and keeping up with them and things of that nature. But when you started your journey as a financial advisor in New York, were you in your own business or are you working for a firm? And when was it that you actually became the official entrepreneur, if you will, in the financial services? Tell me about that.
Most financial service companies, it's a plug and play model, right? You
Okay.
could work for these big brands you see on TV, or the big insurance brands are also financial service brands as well. And what they do is typically, give you training Monday through Friday for an hour or so a day. You have a sales manager, and you're really, figuring it out on your own with them, right?
Yeah.
They show you what niche marketing is. Like, hey, go, work with doctors, dentists, lawyers, accountants, whatever it might be, and they look at other successful advisors, and you have to really figure out who do you want to work with, and they train you, how to be great at marketing and sales. But at the
Sure.
end of the day, it's up to you if you want to work 4 hours a day, 15 hours a day. It's up to you if you want to make $30,000 a year or $5 million a year. And there's literally advisors on both extremes. And
Sure.
really, it came down to me figuring out niche marketing. And I did a lot of work with the FDNY in New York City, as well as police officers. And over time, that grew my referral base out to expand to other types of clients. And then also I do a lot of work with business owners today.
Yeah.
And it just was about, going out and building one relationship at a time. And then at that time, it led to multiple relationships. And then of course, marketing to your clients. So that way you're top of mind. So that way they
Sure.
continuously, refer you other clients. And the best client is a referral, right? Because they
Yeah,
already
absolutely.
trust you, from the other person that, gave the referral. And really, it's just a matter of being knowledgeable at that point, showing them what to do with their finances, and then typically they go with you.
So entrepreneurship's been in your blood. Your dad had a store. You got into financial services. So your family was in it. So literally right out of the gate, you started as an entrepreneur, building your client base. It's a very personal journey that you go on and talking to people about their finances, how to help them use their finances better, grow their wealth, their impact, and all those kinds of things. And then you moved from Manhattan to Boca Raton. So did you
Yes.
take all your customers with you? I mean, you just like started a brand new in a new state. I should ask you, why did you do it? But cold and wintry versus summer year round, I think I know the answer to that question.
So everyone thought I was crazy,
Yep.
honestly. So when you're in the financial service industry, most of your relationships are local,
Yep.
right? I had clients in the tri-state area. Most of that was in-person type of clientele. Back then there was no Zoom, right?
Yep.
It was calling people and explaining things, but most of our clients, were not the Zoom types. More of our clients are 50 to age 80, right? And, they're just not used to that type of technology, even though I had it, back then. So, it was a little crazy to say, I'm going to pick up and take what I've already built and, walk away, not from it, but move to a new location and have to figure out how to, enhance our technology to not lose clients.
Sure.
And we did not lose a single client from doing that. The good news is I had a team up in New York, and the clients trusted me when I said, hey, I'm going to move down here, but you're never going to know. I'm not changing my phone number. I'm not changing my email. And I'm going to be flying back to New York 4 times per year. And we're going to continuously have our client meetings. And I did that, right? Back then you could fly. Right now you can't fly
Yeah.
as
So
frequently.
true.
And, it worked. I literally had clients in our office in New York, and I was on a big screen on Zoom, and our junior advisor was sitting in the room with our clients, and we did not skip a beat because I was in the room literally
Nice.
seeing the client. And the clients felt like I was taking care of them. And when I moved to Florida, that was very difficult. I did take a financial hit because, not from the current clients, but really the marketing side. When you have a pipeline of new clients coming in from different events you do every year, and you're not able to do those events, it gets harder to kind of figure out, okay, well, now I'm in a new market. Nobody knows me. And that's what led me to opening up the Shrimp Tank podcast. I said, what am I going to do that's different?
Okay. I was about to ask you that. How did you get into
That's why.
podcasting? And so it was a form of business development, basically.
Yes,
That's pretty
absolutely.
cool.
Absolutely. The Shrimp Tank's a franchise nationally, mostly by financial service professionals. So there's some
Nice.
accountants, lawyers, or financial advisors that are running it. And one of the fellows was a mentor to me. And I said, what's the best thing you're doing, right now when it comes to marketing and just meeting new people? I'm moving to Florida. And he goes, remember that thing, the shrimp tank, the podcast I was telling you about? He's like, I opened it up as a franchise now. He's like, when you move to Florida, you should consider it. So I just said, okay, I'm in. I got down here, knocked on FEU's door. Literally, I said, hey, would you want to co-host a show with me? And they said, you're paying for it? And it's at your office? They're like, sure. Like, do we got to run it by anyone? They're like, nah, let's just go with it, see what happens. Because there's a lot of red tape at universities.
Sure.
And it's been a great match ever since. We have close to 200 episodes today. And we do an episode every single week. Thank you. And, we're just very consistent, right? Because if you're not consistent, right, there's other people behind the scenes you got to pay. There's the professor who has to show up in their schedule. You have a producer, a director, and also the people doing things behind the scenes editing. And if a show doesn't go on, you're out a lot of money. So we always are very consistent. We have backup folks if a guest cancels, and it's been very hard with COVID because you had a lot of cancellations, of course.
Sure.
But we figure it out. We have a great guest lineup all the time, and we've been known locally to feature the best entrepreneurs from South Florida. So that's some top companies on that everyone either shops at, eats at, and it's been a great journey because now that's been a way for me to, of course, get my name out there. And when it comes to telling people about my financial service business, it immediately comes with a trust factor, right? Which is super important.
Well, one of the things I like about what you said was that people don't think about this enough, but you started a podcast to generate leads into your financial services business. And podcasting is an amazing way to bring clients into your ecosystem or whatever business it is that you have, whether you're somebody like you that does financial services or you're a coach. I mean, there are so many ways to use podcasting for business to benefit your business that I think it's overlooked, especially because podcasting has become so popular and everybody wants to have a podcast. But you also just described it's a lot of hard work to have a podcast. It's a huge commitment.
Yeah, I think today everyone looks at all these different shows and thinks, oh, I could have a show. I could just, open up my Zoom link and hit play, or go on Instagram Live, LinkedIn Live, TikTok Live. There's so many ways to do a show today, but it comes with a lot of effort because they're scheduling with the guests. The guests have to be prepared when they're joining a show, and the guests themselves, want to feel like they got value from going on a podcast. There's so many of them today. You do have to be careful. So a lot of podcasts are not run properly. And it wasn't like that 3 years ago. Nowadays, there's a huge amount of saturation with podcasts. So you really have to have an amazing experience. So that way when the guest, is off the air, they're excited, they're talking about it. And that's what we go for. We just go for that excitement factor. So that way when they leave, they're telling everyone about, hey, I was just on the shrimp tank, right? And, they're telling everyone that they've got photos, we got shrimp, that are rubber and, stuff like this. I got cool signs. I mean, this was a guest that made this,
oh, that's pretty cool. You'll have to check out the YouTube channel to see what he just held up. Hold it up again, Jason. So it looks like
this is pretty cool. Green Wallscapes. She calls herself the Moss Boss. She's got these up on.
I dig that. I'm going to have to have her make me one of those that says Amazing Entrepreneurs Club. I can hang it on my wall behind me. So
fit in great. Yes, absolutely.
Let's fast forward a little bit. So you got all this going on. You've got a successful business in 2 cities. You've got a successful podcast. You've relocated to a new state. You partnered with Florida Atlantic University. And then something inside you said, let me start an app. So tell us about
it. Makes perfect sense, right?
Yeah. Like you don't have enough things. Yeah, you don't have enough things on your to-do list, buddy. So tell us about the idea, how it came about, and a little bit about the journey that you've been on with this product.
Yeah. So when COVID-19 hit, I saw the writing on the wall, right? I said, every time I get in my car, I listen to a podcast or listening to music. And I'm always like, why can't I call the person that I just listened to, or audiobook, right? And I'm like, I get back to my office. I'm so excited. I go on LinkedIn. I connect with them. They don't accept my connection request. Then I'm messaging them like, hey, we should chat. We could collaborate, right? I have a great idea. Never hear back. You go to Instagram, it's in their spam folder because you're not connected with them. They don't follow you. It triggered right at that time that there's got to be a better way. And then also what triggered was looking at the financial service industry sends us these charts and looking at all the industries that were getting crushed. And one area that was not getting crushed was at-home businesses, right? Look at everyone riding their bikes at home today. Look at all the fitness industry doing it from home. And you just saw all these different sectors that were at-home businesses scaling and scaling quick, right? And at that moment, I was like, wouldn't it really be cool that, if I was riding in my car, I could call an expert and pick their brain and eliminate all this friction, right? Filter down to someone that I want to chat with, just have a genuine conversation on my way to work. My time is so valuable these days because there's no time slots anymore in my life between my family and my business. And I said, I don't have time to do everything online, just hunt them down and ask for a referral. I would just rather just be able to, go online and pay a price. And a lot of these services existed, but they were all through websites, and it was always booking time with an expert into the future. And I said to myself, well, that's not what we need. We want the answer right now. We go on YouTube, we get our answer, but then we get frustrated on YouTube. We're like 12-minute video with pitches and everything. It's like, I just want to talk to the person in the video, right? Because I don't need 12 minutes. I need the 1 minute, and you finally got to the 1 minute, like 9 minutes in, and Google has been so saturated with content. It's a lot of bloggers just to rank high on SEO. And it's sometimes misinformation or old information from 5 years ago. We see that as a problem too. So it just hit me. I'm like, how cool would it be if we could have a mobile app? The concept's not that crazy, right? Call an expert, right? But it didn't exist. And I was surprised from my research, it did not exist. And then I called someone on my podcast that I trusted. I had a lot of app developers or marketing or technology companies on my show. And I trusted them. I'm like, how do you do this? How do you build a mobile app? I've heard it on my podcast all the time. I know they're very expensive. Right? We had like delivery dudes on our show, and he's like, it's millions of dollars their app, right? What they have designed, and it became a technology company, even though it's a delivery company at the end of the day. And I just knew, like, be careful. Everyone said, be careful. Don't do. Even my co-host, who teaches entrepreneurship for boot camps in the College of Business, he would always joke. He's like, another app, because every student, wants to create a unicorn, right? A lot of apps that are on our phones are unicorns, but 99% of them, we don't use, right? So that's the start of Owwll. And I went to a technology company and I said, I didn't know what an MVP was. It's minimal viable product. And I'm like, how much is that to do? Where they create different screenshots and every step, what would happen from a user's experience as they log into the app, to getting an email notification, to just different things that all apps have. It's so technical. And he's like, well, we usually charge $10,000 to $30,000. We work with major brands like Carnival Cruise Line, the Cirque in Las Vegas, the Hard Rock Hotel. And I was like, okay, well, I don't, this is an idea. I'm like, I don't even know what this thing would look like. I don't have a name, anything. And he says, well, I'll cut you a break. He gave me 50% off. And August 2020, I'm on a call with 10 developers approximately. And they're like, what's the name? I go, I don't know. I'm like, when do I need to know that? And all of a sudden they're like, within 24 hours, we got to build a logo. We have to build frames for it. And I just figured it out. Owl's the bird of wisdom and intelligence. And we had an extra W and an extra L, and it was available as a .com. And I learned from all my past experience, keep names short, right? The longer the names, it's harder to pronounce. It's harder, to write. It's harder for email addresses, and you want to make it simple. So
I should have taken a cue from you there. Amazingentrepreneurs.club. It's kind of a long URL, but so it's OWWLL.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And just I'm going to reframe basically what Owwll is. It's an app on your phone, or it will be an app on your phone. The last week of February is when it's officially launching in the App Store, correct?
Correct. It's in beta right now with about 1,000 users. Okay. And it will be out to the public, let's just say in March, where anyone could come in there and download the app and experience calling experts or being an expert themselves. Right?
Because there's two options. Yeah. So, and one of the things I really appreciate about this, I've seen the app, I've tried it out a little bit. And what I like about it is there's a wide variety of experts that are on the app that really get the opportunity to share their insights with the people that have downloaded it, that are the customer, if you will. And regardless of what you're looking for, you can search and you can find an expert in that field. And I think one of the things that's also interesting, it started in 2020, but as a result of 2020 and with what's been going on in the hybrid workplace, there's a huge rise in entrepreneurship called the Great Resignation. And so now a lot of people are starting their own businesses, whether it's a side hustle that they're going to move into leaving their 9 to 5, or they just left, or they got laid off or on furlough, and they had this passion or idea. And now you are a resource for entrepreneurs to go and get insights and information about wherever they are on their journey that's going to help them. So I've paraphrased it a little bit, but I think that's pretty accurate, right?
That's perfect, right? Because when we look at the startup world, right? A lot of them, don't have big buckets of money to hire all these different experts. So they could buy 10, 20 minutes with an expert and eventually really be precise on who they want to hire for their business based on their financials.
Yep.
And what's really unique is someone could be listening to our episode today and want to talk to you, Sid, right? They say, hey, Sid was talking about this. And now I really realize I want to talk to Sid. And you could be live on this app and they could get in touch with you. We're not providing your cell phone number out to anyone. It's an in-app phone call, and you are 100% accurate. I saw the writing on the wall with the Great Resignation a mile away because entrepreneurship, was exploding, and that was before COVID. And when COVID hit, it just accelerated the process that people wanted to really enjoy what they were doing more, wanted to do, less commuting, more, hybrid roles, and we've seen everything go to Zoom today with meetings. Like, why would we go to all these in-person things anymore? We could do it right on Zoom. And I just looked at an audio experience where you could do it in your pajamas, you could do it in your car ride, how unique that would be, and also really benefit the expert, because sometimes we're talking about just the advice seeker, but experts themselves are advice seekers, and experts really have a really tough time, handling their audience sometimes, right? You have an audience on this show, and a lot of them don't know how to get in touch with you. They message you on LinkedIn, they message you on Instagram, and we have a gazillion message boxes today. But if you actually pointed them all at the same time, say, if you ever want to get in touch with me, I'm always live on Owwll, Tuesdays and Thursdays for 2 hours each day. Then that way your world would know that if they wanted to touch base with you, they would just hop in there and call you. And the beauty of our app is you don't have to be in it. That's the main technology, is you just set yourself available like a timer clock, and then you put your phone down. Go ahead and, do emails, do other things that are in your work environment, but do things that you could stop what you're doing and then grab a call to pick up, a few dollars to have a conversation. But what we are seeing is it's networking on steroids. Right? When we look at LinkedIn, why are people on LinkedIn? They're there to network. Sometimes it's for careers. Well, imagine being able to go in here and really get to the bottom of something really quickly, and then eventually they want to hire you, right? I want to hire Sid Meadows. After having a conversation on Owwll App, all of a sudden, we can move it to Zoom. It does not have to stay on the application, or it can move to in person. And we're seeing a ton of that right now, which is really exciting, right? Regardless of the price to call that person, that just puts, a little value on that person's time.
Sure.
The bigger picture is actually the networking aspect to bring real clients for that expert at the end of the day.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that are leaders within industries that do get outreach from people all the time. And the phrase, I want to pick your brain, basically says, I want free advice.
Absolutely.
And that can be really, really hard when you look at our calendars and what's going on in our calendar. I have a client. She's not a client yet. She's a potential client. She's trying to find time on my calendar. There's 3 weeks that there's no time on my calendar for her to pick a slot. And so I actually sent her a message saying, I'll make an accommodation for you in the early evening, because I realize my calendar looks like a Tetris board that is somebody threw up on because it's so bad. But this gives people an opportunity when I can say, I'm going live on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm live from 10 to 12. And if I'm available, my phone rings, I will pick it up. If not, then I'm just, maybe I got a call from somebody else or something, right? And something happens, but I can be there and I can take the call. I can help the person for 10, 15, 20 minutes. And this is affordable for the people using the app. I mean, the start rate is what, $10, and it goes up to like $25.
You could charge anything you want. People could charge $1 for a 10-minute call. It all starts with minimum 10-minute call. It's not charged by the minute. And when you're on a call, you could extend it. So if I call you, and let's just say you charge $10 for 10 minutes, we're having a great conversation, an additional 10 minutes, and you can accept or deny it. Because if you're running into another meeting, you're going to deny and say, you have to find me, on the next time I go live, on this app. And the beauty is, if something comes up in your world, so you could just deactivate yourself from being live with a click of a button. It's instant. You're literally just setting a timer, and the timer can be shut off, if something comes up or a call comes in that you have to take and you want to get off of Owwll App, of course. And the beauty of it is when you have cancellations, right? So we're all in business, and with COVID-19, there's more and more cancellations than ever before. I know in my schedule, I have an average of 30 to 40% cancellations. It just comes with the territory when you're in sales or some type of sales position. And even doctors and dentists get a 20, 30% cancellation rate.
Sure.
Ready for this? If you get a cancel and you want to make, a benefit of that time, right? You could literally go live, and now someone might call you and and actually generate some revenue and maybe even a client from that downtime. And you could do it in the car. So if we have really busy professionals, they could do it while driving to the airport. And ready for this, if the plane doesn't take off, you're sitting on the tarmac, go live.
Sure.
And sit in your limo while you're waiting if you're a heavy hitter entrepreneur from the Shark Tank or something, right? So I do see this as an app for everyone, because I do get this, like, oh, it's not for me though. How's that possible? You never want to just call someone to get the answer that quickly. I don't care if you're worth $1 billion, you need answers too. And if you're a billionaire, why would you not want to share that wisdom with the world? If there's a student that wants some advice, you could waive your price, right? Who cares about the $1,000 for 10 minutes if you're Mark Cuban, right? I look at this as a way to share wisdom to the world, and even career advice for students as well.
Well, there's always an opportunity to learn and grow. And whether you're an expert, a thought leader, an industry leader, an influencer, people want to know how you got to where you are. They want to learn from you. And if you've got an hour of your time, one day a week, that you could give to somebody, you never know how that's going to impact them. Because here's the thing. We all said we want to become an entrepreneur, and there's thousands of books about being an entrepreneur. There's hundreds of podcasts about being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But there's not a real guidebook. And the one thing that most people don't realize about being an entrepreneur, unless you're going into an official partnership with something, this is a very lonely journey. And you're going to come across challenges and issues and things you've never faced before, and you don't know how to respond to them, or you don't know exactly what to do. This gives you a great opportunity to go onto the app, find that type of expert that you need, or that type of coach that you need that can answer a pricing question or an offer question, or how do I handle a contract, or I need an employee. There's so many different things that you get immediate access to, as you said earlier, rather than Googling and rather than going to YouTube and getting potentially bad information or outdated information that was published 4 or 5 years ago, right?
Of course. I think often we're willing to pay, we just don't have access to pay. And at the end of the day, we've all been in that position where we're sitting at our computer and we want to break it. We're like, why can't I find the answer? And you're watching a video about Excel that's from 2016. You don't understand why it's at the top of YouTube. You need the one from 2022, right? Because Excel updated, and all of our programs updated, and can get quite frustrating. So Owwll is really designed for everyone. To really compete against, search, right? I think people are turning the corner, looking at all these audio apps that have come out, and we're going back to the traditional format of just genuine conversations, which lots of times social media is missing, a lot of attacking, and our platform is secure. It's private calls. There's no one listening in. There's no record feature, and that was 100% by design. There's a lot of audio platforms like Clubhouse, LinkedIn Audio, coming out, they're in beta, and a lot of this stuff is got a record feature. And I think we're at the point where, like, we don't want to record everything. We just want to talk to an expert, get the answer, and go about our day. And anyone who's, a celebrity even, they don't want to be on video all the time. And then that video goes onto the internet, shared on social platforms, and then they got to hire a PR firm to put out fire. Why can't you just talk to that celebrity about how they became a celebrity and pick their brain and what they should do to become a celebrity? Things like that, more genuine business type conversations, which is happening with professional athletes as well. So I look at this app as anyone who has a business mindset, which is LinkedIn, the entire credit of LinkedIn. So it's what I've been telling people is, like, if LinkedIn and Cameo had a baby, Cameo, you have to, be vetted to get on there. Well, our platform has a vetting process. You have to apply. So we don't want fake names. We want your whole entire profile filled out. And the beauty of it is you could be removed as an expert. If people are reviewing you and your score gets too low, we will push you back to an advice seeker. And that's what's missing in the world, is just, experts, getting away with saying whatever they want in a lot of these audio type platforms today. There's no control. There's no control on social media. But if you were giving me advice on entrepreneurship, and then at the end of the call, it was $10, I'm like, he didn't say anything, really that special. He's generalizing. I don't think he's an expert. I'm going to ding you and leave you a 3 out of 5. Then the next person leaves you a 2 out of 5. And then after a while, we're like, okay, this person's not right to be giving advice, right? He needs to actually go over to the advice seeker category again and build his skill set, because everyone could build their skill set over time. But a lot of people are faking it today, right? They're experts after 1 month of graduating college on a specific topic. They put on their Instagram handle CEO. and CEO of the Instagram handle, like what? Like,
Yeah.
you create an LLC for $100 in many states. Like that doesn't make you a CEO, right? That doesn't
Correct.
give you that ability to provide advice to others. And they should, sometimes it does. You could be very good at what you do when you're 20, 18 years old. But at the end of the day, we want, the crowd to be the judge, and those reviews will be very impactful. So that's really a big part of our technology, is the review mechanism in place.
Well, it's really exciting, and I'm excited for you and the launch of this. We know how people that want to get advice, the advice seekers, as you called them, how they get it. But if people want to be an expert on the platform, what's the process they go through, or how do they reach out to you to say, I want to raise my hand to be an expert on this platform?
Great question. So everyone downloads the app, and right when they get in, it's a basic profile. But to become an expert, we have a toggle switch that has, the little baby owl, and think about, the smarter owl, right? And that's our Owwll brand logo that you see on our website. And they toggle over, and really they're just filling out some more information, filling out their social media handles. They're filling out how much they're going to charge. And then we see all that information, confirm it's accurate, and then we approve them, right? If we look at the handles and it shows that they have 0 followers and there's something wrong there, right? We know immediately that they're not trying to be honest, with the world. When they charge $1,000 for a 10-minute call, and we Google search them and nothing is showing up, there's something missing, and we'll deny them. So we really want great experts on our platform, and over time, the vetting, the reviews will fix the issue, right? Sure. Because if we do let people come in because everyone could be an expert if you think about it, right?
Yep.
There's no way to say who is not an expert unless we really go to extreme vetting. We'll say you have to have X amount of followers and X amount of earnings, but how could we prove some of that data, right? Sure. So at the end of the day, we really think it's going to be like a Fiverr, right? Fiverr, people, do projects to create a digital video, right? But you charge $500 and you give someone a bad, digital video, you're never going to get another client ever again.
Correct.
So the good news is it will create a marketplace from the community itself. And that's our goal, to create an amazing community of experts. And those experts are telling everyone, you got to go on Owwll, because it's a great platform that if they talk to Sid on there and then say, hey, you also need help on X, Y, or Z, Sid, you could turn around and say, call this expert on Owwll, right? And that's what we're building, a community, and it's starting to get a lot of legs of things I did not ever think about, how other people use the app and how they view it, that it creates borders. They really don't like what you said earlier, which is, oh, can I pick your brain? And sure, you could pick my brain, and they can't get the person off the phone call or Zoom. 10 minutes turns into an hour, and then they have regrets. Like, I didn't want to do that. And somehow I'm so nice, I couldn't shut it down. A lot of people have a heart. We've all done that. Me. We've all been in that situation.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But ready, there's a timer, 10 minutes. And if they want to click add more time, at least they're paying. So
that's right.
They're going to pick your brain. They're going to have to pick their credit card method, right? So the beauty is
great.
It creates, a nice frame around the call, and it gets right to the point because they know the timer is started. And we're seeing a lot of beauty from that aspect, and all different levels of how you could be an expert on one topic, but you really just want to give advice on adoption over here, right?
Right.
And we have some professionals that are doing that. Like, I just want a side hobby to talk to people, and I'm not going to charge my usual $100 rate. I'm going to charge $5 for a 10-minute call because I just want to tell people how adoption works, as a great example.
Well, it gives people like me the opportunity to give back at an affordable rate, right? Because to hire me to work in a one-on-one situation, first off, I have no availability for one-on-ones anymore. So that is sold out for the rest of the year. And the cost of it is prohibited for a lot of people because it just is. It's just one-on-one, but this gives you access at an entry point that is affordable, but yet you really get the insights that me or other people have as well. And I have to tell you something funny. I was on a LinkedIn audio event. I was on stage. I was talking about the power of audio. I don't remember exactly what it was. The conversation was about. We were talking about a variety of different things. And of course, Jason, you know me. I mean, I piped up. Not fearful of sharing my insights about things. And I had 2 people send me a LinkedIn direct message with a link to go get on Owwll. And I replied back, thanks. I know, Jason, I'm already there. I appreciate it. My profile's not all the way set up, but I'm already there. But so what you're wanting to happen, which is experts and people that are using the platform, spreading the word that is happening, because this was just last week. And I forgot to tell you that I got 2 messages about your product. So it's working, friend.
Well, it comes back to building a business from the ground up.
Yeah.
So there's reasons why that is occurring, right? A lot of people create apps that have great ideas, but then they don't know how to market it, right? I think
Sure.
a lot of folks hope that if you build it, they will come. And we know that's just not how it works in business unless you have the most incredible technology that no one ever has seen before. But that's where most people fail. 99% of apps fail. So what we've done behind the scenes is we're rewarding people, right, early on at extreme levels, where if you refer someone, you get $10, so you get extra money, get advice, but then they get $10 when entering the app. So they get something for free right off the bat. Additionally, we created a community of brand ambassadors, right? We want people to really, be part of our brand from day one. And that what we're seeing, is, we're creating a little bit of a family, right? A family that really wants to create the best advice app in the world. And they're out there, not doing it really for the financials, but they really believe in it. And they're enjoying the networking, because of the beta environment, it's networking one-on-one, but they're seeing so much value from the connections they're making. We're bringing so many of my past guests from the Shrimp Tank onto the app and doing featured experts of the week and getting to chat with all these varieties of entrepreneurs or experts, and people immediately are saying, this is awesome, right? It's so cool to be part of this from the ground up and give me recommendations, where they're literally seeing like buttons being built, from their recommendations. Say, I was the one. Imagine you built the like button in Facebook, right? I know that guy's out there and he's proud of that like button, but if you're part of our community, you could give us that feedback and we could build it versus, working, at another company that doesn't care about the advice, or it takes 12 years to build that one like button, right? Because, we're small, we're able to really, be part of the community. And I'm on the app all the time. I'm talking to folks, and, I'm having one-on-ones on Zoom with folks. So it's just been a great journey. And we're really excited to launch it in the App Store. And at some point we'll have a gated entry and we'll take the gate off because, because there's money involved. We want to make sure we go nice and slow and get great reviews. And then when the time's right, share it with the world, and let everybody, get advice from all different levels, of course.
Well, I appreciate you sharing all the details about it. We'll be sure to link to the website and all the information in the show notes for any of you that are interested in seeking advice or being an advisor. Jason's a great guy, and what he's building is a really cool product. But I want to switch gears on us. We just got a few minutes left, and I would really appreciate it, Jason. Obviously, you've had a very long entrepreneur journey and built amazing success, taken lots of risks. From your experience along your journey, what advice, if you could give 3 tips to other entrepreneurs that would help them along their journey, what 3 pieces or what 3 tips would you share?
Never burn bridges. I think too often we don't see a need to working with that person, so we don't email them back, or we don't text them back, or we don't respond on social media. Those people know, they're not dumb. They realize that you didn't respond to them. And one day when there's a cycle, you're going to need to lean on that Rolodex. And I think a lot of that's been lost today. The second is communication, right? What makes me successful in all the businesses that I worked on is I just tell it how it is. I don't try to hide behind situations. I say, look, this is when the app's going to be built and this is why. And then people understand it because I've communicated with them how complex the app is and what's really going on behind the scenes. And that's the same thing financial service world is sometimes people expect you to have the answer and you don't. And it's okay to say, I don't have the answer. I'm going to get an expert on the call the next time we chat. And I'm going to get to the root of your issue and bring in an expert that's better than me. So I think communication skills are really lacking today. And business etiquette kind of ties into all this. I'm huge on business etiquette. You asked me to be on a show at a specific time, like 1 o'clock. I'm there at 1 o'clock, right? I'm not there at 1:07. I'm not there at 1:12. I'm not, emailing the other person, hey, are you joining the Zoom? Like, oh, I'm running late on a meeting. Well, we have email and phone at our fingertips. That's not an excuse. Your time, is not more important than my time. You should not be saying, well, I'm in a meeting. That's my biggest pet peeve. It's like, great, I was in a meeting too. And you know what I did at my meeting? I nicely said, look, we're at the end of the hour. I have another meeting coming up that's on Zoom and I have to jump on it. I end my meeting because I value that other person's time. So I think we're in the world where etiquette has, dropped to an all-time low, and happiness levels had dropped to an all-time low due to everyone, unfortunately, working at home and not experiencing life as much with COVID, of course. So I just look at business etiquette. It's like, take it a step further. Send someone a thank you card, right? After a podcast, say, thank you. That was a great experience. Regardless of what you think, well, I didn't have the best experience. Think about what they were going through on the other side.
Sure.
I think often we forget what small businesses are really going through. Like, you're complaining about your French fries not being cooked enough. It's like, come on, like, there's only X amount of servers that are having trouble, hiring people. And sometimes I think people don't look around the corner of what a lot of these small business owners are going through. And then if they understood, they're like, oh, I shouldn't have been so mean. So I just think sometimes, it's okay to hold back and, just go a step further with customers and clients, calling them, communicating, being on time. And those little touches are everything. The cards, the little gifts on Amazon. You could shoot anyone a gift on Amazon for $5 with free shipping or $10, and that makes their day. Sending them a $9.99 gift from Amazon, which could be a mug. It could be anything. There's a gazillion items for $9.99. Sure. So what I always say is, it's not about the price. It's just about the experience and how you've touched them. And at the end of the day, I could send you a $5 Starbucks gift card, Sid, and said, thanks, have a cup of coffee on me. And they go, no one's done that to me ever. And that's crazy when you hear people say that. And then you know what they do after $5? They invite you to an event, that you didn't see coming. They're like, hey, why don't you join me at this event? I'm like, oh, sure, I'd love to join. So it's just being authentic and being real, and and good things come, and don't expect them to come by giving. It just give, and whatever happens, happens. That's what I always say.
Such great tips, some that we haven't heard before as well, which I really, really like that. And my only comment to what you said, and I tell people this all the time because I host a ton of Zoom meetings. I mean, I never leave this chair. At least that's how it feels. This is what I tell people. If you're on time, you're late. Be early, be 1 minute early, just be there, just show up. And like I have a client that I work with in person every month for one full day. So it's the second Tuesday of the month. And I am on site with them doing leadership coaching for their entire organization the whole day. And I start at 9:00, but I am there at 8:45. I'm there, I'm checking in with the owner. I'm seeing how he's doing. I'm chit-chatting, making my way to my conference room, make sure I got my coffee, because then I want at 9:00, when the first person walks in, I need to be ready, not pulling in the parking lot and rushing in upstairs. So if you're on time, you're late. That's my quote of the day. All right, buddy, I want to move on because we only got just a couple of minutes left. And I'm going to ask you some kind of random questions that I curated here, just to have a little bit of fun to give the listeners a chance to get to know you better. So my first question is, if you could have dinner with anyone dead or alive, who would you choose and why?
Ooh, that's an interesting one. I'm going to have to think about this one. Dinner with anyone dead or alive.
And it can be from any industry, any genre, author, musician. I mean, it could be anybody. Who would you choose?
It's probably just going to be a comedian, right? Just to make me laugh. I think sometimes, we've lost such amazing people in this lifetime, and just to be able to sit with someone and crack up. And I'm just thinking of who that comedian might be. We've lost, so many great folks, but I feel like I'm not answering your question. So
you're fine.
It would be that person, or maybe my grandfather, someone that, he was an entrepreneur, but you didn't really get to know him, right? I was like 7 years old when he passed. I just remember him slightly, but how cool would it be to kind of like, they always say it skips generations. Like, was I like him, right? Yeah. Like, and you get such bits and pieces of those stories, right? Like you never get the full story from your parents. Like, what was he like? What did he do? And like, oh, he was doing coins, he was doing this. But like, ones that was like a, identical match to me. And I'm at dinner with him and I'm like, oh my God, that's where I get it from. Sure. Right. So I think awesome. That would be really cool.
All right. So what's at the top of your bucket list, Jason?
The top of my bucket list is
the number one thing.
I mean, of course, it's Owwll App right now. It's really
that's not a bucket list. That's a business. Give us a bucket list. Come on.
The bucket list, it just creates such a good culture around my team. I really love having an awesome team around me, and they've worked so hard, behind the scenes, and I really want to reward them, when awesome. Owwll Scales and everyone who's a brand ambassador or in our community. I just think how cool it would be to be like, we all did it, right? We did it together, and our bucket list would be, literally 1 year from now, Sid, that all those people are, in Las Vegas, and we're having a convention for Owwll, putting the top experts in the world in Las Vegas, probably Mandalay Bay. They do all those conventions there.
Sure.
And how cool would it be to be like 100, plus folks on stage, celebrating from being here as an early adopter and growing it. So that would be my bucket list.
I love that. All right. So you've been interviewed and featured in a lot of magazines, as I mentioned in your bio, but what magazine do you want to be on the cover of?
Ooh, well, I guess you gotta, Entrepreneurship Magazine. I mean, that's like, got to be the one, because, that's exactly what Owwll is.
Why
am
I not surprised that was your answer? You want to be on the cover of Entrepreneur Magazine.
But it could be People of the Year, like Time, it could be that, because we could change, just, the way people get their advice, and it really could work worldwide, with everything being so negative with social media today. That Owwll really is like, hey, this is one of the other major players in that space that people say, well, those are great for this, but Owwll is, the Ferrari of advice business, right? So that would be the goal.
Love that. Yes. All right, last two questions. What's the best present that you've ever received? The best gift. You talked about gift.
Best gift.
Yeah, you talked about giving earlier. So what's the best present you've ever received?
Ooh, the best present.
Yeah.
Now I gotta go back to my childhood. Was it from my parents? Was it from my beautiful wife? Let's see. The best present I ever received. Can I say my kids? Is that a present? Is that cheap?
Yeah, I don't know. Are they presents? Are they?
I don't know.
Sometimes they're good. Sometimes they're bad.
Yeah, they could be rugrats. Exactly. The best present, my wife got me custom Nikes once, and it had my initials, and it was just so cool to, like, Christmas, you open up a box of, fresh Nikes and your initials are on it. Yeah. And it was just so cool. It wasn't about the $1,000 gift, right? You could always spend a lot more money on so many things, but at the end of the day, it was just so cool to get something custom that she put a lot of thought into, that present, of course. So I'll go with Nikes. I'm a big Nike fan.
That's a really, really great story. I remember I've been in business for 6 years by myself. And so I remember the first Christmas that I was in business for myself, I opened up a Christmas package, and my wife had gotten me a shirt that had my logo embroidered on it. And I thought, how cool. It's not anything I ever would have thought about doing, right? But just was like, hey, this is real. You've got a real business. Because, for 30 some odd years, I worked in corporate America, and then started my journey very late in life as it compared to when a lot of people start their entrepreneur journey, but not as much today as it was when I did it. But then this Christmas, she gave me even better one, which was just so cool, which was the cover art of both of my podcasts with reviews from both podcasts, all matted and framed in a frame. It's sitting right over here. I just haven't hung it up yet, because it's just so cool. It's just like it's being acknowledged for what you do, but that's not anything I would have ever done for myself. Right. But it's a really cool gift. So lots of great presents out there that are low cost, but very meaningful.
I agree, because too often we put a price tag on that gift, and often we could buy it ourselves, right? It said, if we want to go get a new car, if we want to go get, a new watch, if we want, anything, we could go out and buy it. It's usually not about the price, once you have time, being an entrepreneur, running a business, if you really want it, you could go after it. But it's that, what did that person do to create an experience for you and put their time into it, that you knew that they put time. So then it hits the heart at the end of the day. And that kind of comes back to business. What I was saying earlier, it's like, it's almost more fun seeing someone smile, right? Giving someone something, and then their eyes light up from that gift, because they didn't see it coming. When they see it coming, it's just like, it's not the same. It's like, I want a new car. Here's the exact car, the exact model, and I just put a bow on top, right? It's like, okay, were they that excited, or was it the Nike shoes, waking up and be like, I didn't see him coming with the logo the way it was and the design of it, because you customize, the Nikes in all different, fashions, of course.
Well, when you were talking about the business perspective of that a few minutes ago, the word that came to my mind was what you're describing is what is called relationship marketing, and really connecting with people on a different level by small things that are meaningful. And I talked about this in another episode. And you mentioned a thank you note. I think it was another episode. This was now almost 9 or 10 years ago. I got a note from a customer, and it was typed. It wasn't handwritten, but it was typed on his grandfather's stationery. He had a limited supply of his grandfather's stationery. And I had been working with him for a few years, and something happened and he felt compelled to send me a note. And so he typed it on his grandfather's stationery, and it is sitting right over there in a pile because I am never letting that go. I'm probably going to frame it one day because of the meaning behind it, right?
Of course.
His grandfather's original stationery from his original business 50 plus years ago. That's really cool.
I love that. And it is so common that people want to do the easy way out, right? So just shoot a text message, just, do a social media post, but sometimes taking it a step further, that meant something to him, and then it meant, that much to you because you knew that, of course. So absolutely. I agree. And that's what the shrimp tank sign that I showed you, like somebody put that sign together with their hands, and they brought it to the studio that day. And like, that was the coolest gift that we received on the shrimp tank, right? Just running our podcast. Now I get to put that in our office, show other people it. We bring it to events, and it just pops, and it just, it's such an awesome piece. Right?
You're never going to forget who gave it to you or why they gave it to you. And you'll always remember whatever it is that person does. And when the opportunity comes up to refer to that person, you will have that opportunity to refer to that person.
Of course. And she is on Owwll App, so you can get in touch with her. Lindsay, the Moss Boss, just
say her
type
name
in
again.
Moss Boss. Lindsay, she goes by Moss Boss. So just type in Moss Boss on Owwll and you will find her.
Oh, that's awesome. So Jason, what a privilege it's been to interview you, to chat with you today, to learn more about the Owwll App, to definitely hear a part of your story. I appreciate the insights and the tips you shared with our community. If our community would like to get in touch with you, what is the best way for them to do that?
So best way is probably social media, LinkedIn, Jason R. Hill on LinkedIn, if you search for me. And then additionally, Instagram @Shrimp Tank Boca, or Owwll @Owwll App on all social feeds. So either of those, we're always monitoring our inboxes.
Well, we'll drop the links to all of those in the show notes for those of you that would like to get in touch with Jason to learn more about the Owwll App, to be an expert on the Owwll App, or just to connect with him. Please remember, if you do reach out to him, be sure you let him know you heard him here on the Amazing Entrepreneurs Club, so he knows how you're coming to him. Jason, it's been a privilege having you today, man. I appreciate you very much.
I had an awesome experience on here, and you could also reach me on Owwll App itself. Find me, follow me, and you will get pinged when I go live and chat with me. If you are designing an app and need advice or anything in the financial service world or entrepreneurship. Thanks, Sid. Always a pleasure.
I appreciate you. And to all of you listening, we appreciate you being here very much so. We'll see you again next week. Take care, everyone.